I cannot be accused of hating found footage films. Not any longer. No jokes this time, this is genuinely one of the scariest movies I've seen. And yes, it's found footage. This movie goes to show the potential for the style, and more horror movies need to be done in this way. Welcome back, horror fans. I'm Leo, and Bootube Breakdowns is here to save your scary movie night. Right off the bat, Gonjiam, Haunted Asylum, scores an 8.6 out of 10, landing it in our Pumpkin King category. But here's the thing. I've already had to have my arm violently pulled through a wicket and scratched up by some unknown entity just to get you the score. And in a few minutes, I'll show you exactly why this film earned its rating. If you disagree with my score at the end of the video, be sure to let me know how much you want to tie some underwear to a tree to use as a landmark, and then be sure to like, share, and subscribe about it in the comment section. Alright, here we go. Some morons decide to go messing with ghosts in an abandoned mental asylum, and they get got by the ghosts. Introduce the YouTube channel Horror Times, which is on the case to uncover the mysteries of this location and get to the bottom of why the infamous room 402 is so deadly. In the process, Horror Times meets up with other creators in the space and a civilian who's not in the Bootube world to go exploring. The team engages in some totally legitimate and definitely not fraudulent tax write-off activities for business purposes, like going to a bar or going to dinner or going to the water park for team building or whatever. They eventually get to the asylum, set up camp, explain the equipment to the new girl who's totally not there to force some exposition for the audience of the movie, share one final meal, and then head off to begin the live stream at the night of Gonjiam, Haunted Asylum. With some pre-set up camera equipment, things start simple enough. At first, nothing. Then the crew notices some weird medical stuff laying on the ground and gets scared by a couple of strange shadows. The shadows then escalate to knocking. Knocking turns to slam doors turn to slamming people against the wall, and before long, the curse of the Haunted Asylum is no longer just a legend. The story starts off simple enough. A bunch of Bootubers decide to go into a haunted asylum, break into infamous room 402, and live stream the whole thing for that sweet, sweet sponsorship money. And they're sure to let us know about today's sponsor. Just kidding. I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. Anyways, they go through the motions of every other haunted location movie of its kind, with the obvious, yeah, it was haunted all along trope. That being said, there's a few caveats here that were interesting to watch. For starters, the main Bootuber, Jung, was working with his crew to fake the whole thing for views. The other Bootubers and a friend of Bootuber Charlotte, who is not part of the ghost hunting world, are brought along by Jung's crew to unknowingly serve as authentic scare reactionaries. As the hauntings turn out to be real and slowly ramp up, the whole thing falls apart, up to the point where Jung's crew admit to be faking everything, but they have to leave now that the ghosts are actually real and are trying to kill everyone. There's a surprising bit of nuance in the film where Jung's greed for the coveted 1 million views drives him to push everyone to increasingly more dangerous situations. And it begs the age-old question of who are you willing to sacrifice in order to get what you want? For such a simple plot, there's a surprising amount of depth and nuance to the characters, and it would be a disservice to give the story quality of this movie anything less than an 8 out of 10. The pacing is probably the weakest aspect of this movie. The beginning is used to introduce the characters, world build, setup, etc. They meet each other, then they go to the bar to have a few drinks, everyone gets comfortable with each other, and as they drive to the haunted asylum, there's a bit of a sequence where they go to a lake and have a little fun in the water. They get set up on the site, set up camp, set up some cameras, and explain the gear to the non-ghost hunter, which is literally the audience, and then everyone shares a meal right before entering the asylum. This whole sequence is by far the most awkward aspect of the film, since the entire thing eats up a hefty 25 minutes, or about a third of the whole film, just before the movie can even get started. Seriously, you can skip to the 25-minute mark, 25:00 exactly, and just start watching from there. Once the movie gets started, however, things quickly ramp up, and once the spooks arrive, the movie keeps the tension high and refuses to let go. To some extent, I feel like if they would have cut out some of the early bonding stuff and added a little bit more backstory for the Asylum's director, this would have improved the movie further. Still, after that initial slog, the movie is absolutely fantastic and highly entertaining. I will give the pacing of this movie a 7 out of 10. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. This movie is actually terrifying. The movie does actually provide a fantastic blend between atmospheric setup and real danger from the supernatural. From the beginning, there's slamming doors, objects moving on their own, creepy lab equipment, and photographs that let your imagination run wild as to the horrors that could have happened in the past. But the entities here are a whole lot more malicious and dangerous than what is seen in other movies of its kind. The ghosts specifically target each member of the crew in ways that play to their fears and makes their experience in the asylum much more haunting. Charlotte, for example, literally signed her own death warrant in the beginning of the film, and upon review of the footage towards the end, it was revealed how she was tricked. Ha-jun was constantly tormented by some entity as he approached the million views that caused the death of his crew, and was even shown his own death in a way that he didn't even understand it until it was too late. As an added layer of cruelty, once the entities materialize, they don't immediately bum rush the characters with a loud scream. They stay within the presence of the characters and beautifully allow that tension and sense of danger to linger and build. Also, when the rushes eventually do happen, it's not done by dialing the sound to a 25 and giving you tinnitus. The film understands that a natural guttural scream is enough, and sound editing only works to cheapen the experience. By the way, the possession scenes are all horrifying, and even though there's a single cheap scare, I won't really count it because it's a bit of a stretch to even call it that. As I said, the nearly 30 minutes of setup really take away from the fear, but once all is said and done, I am happy to give the fear factor for this movie a 9 out of 10. There is so much this movie offers in terms of fun. For starters, an amazing twist that was later referenced in the movie is that the camera glitches are not that cliche ghost affecting electronics trope. The ghosts actually haunt the footage itself. There's a scene where Ha-jun is reviewing footage and notices that there's footage from a camera angle that is impossible since everyone that is inside the asylum is within the frame of the shot. He even says, who could possibly be taking that video? The film review showing Charlotte signing away her life was a fantastic twist that I didn't see coming, but thoroughly enjoyed. The floaty ghost scene with Ha-jun once he finally enters the asylum is so beautifully done that it gave me chills. And I'm not even using that for the script. It literally gave me a tingle in my back. But the best part about the film is the time warp. I'm not going to spoil too much because of how well things are done and how well it plays out, but everyone's death is happening at the same time while also experiencing it in the future. Just watch it, you'll know what I mean. This escalates all the way up until the ending, where the ghosts in the background stand up from the chair. It is clear that the million views never came and the stream itself was haunted in order to push everyone deeper and deeper into their deaths. From so many angles, the spooks were amazing, and even though that intro really made me question if I was watching a horror movie or not, the film quickly redeemed itself. Final score, I give it a 9 out of 10. For this film, the ending was perfect. Everyone was punished for trying to monetize the souls of the dead, but Ha-jun by far received the worst punishment. His haunting was brutal, being targeted by a materialized apparition and hung to death. He reappears, battered and bleeding in the main hall, strapped to a chair before being rushed down the main hall. As he is going down the hall, he catches a glimpse of the windows in all the doors of the asylum, and one by one, the members of the crew are all in a room before ending up locked in the fabled room 402. It's almost a sadistic punishment from the spirits, as if to say, oh, you wanted to get inside room 402? Okay, your soul stays here with us. We then cut to the stream where there are less than 500 viewers, and the comments are saying, oh wow, I cannot believe they admitted it, that it was all staged, and the cameras cut out after the crew members admit to faking the whole thing. As the view count dwindles, there's these two ghost women sitting on like chairs that are meant to be background art, but then they stand up, solidifying the idea that the spirits actually possess the stream itself in order to get to Ha-jun. Normally, this would be enough for me, but if you watch to the end credits, the movie is dedicated to Jung-sik, a member of the production team that suddenly and unexpectedly died after the film's completion. We get a satisfying ending, a horrifying final twist, and a horror movie that resulted in the unexpected real-world death of a crew member in a real haunted asylum. All the boxes are ticked, and by the end of the film, I believe it gets a well-deserved 10 out of 10. So that's Bootube Breakdowns' take on Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. Averaging our scores gives this movie an 8.6 out of 10, placing it in our Pumpkin King category. Do you agree with my rating? Scream your score in the comments and tell me what horror flick I should gut next. If this helps save your spooky vibes, smash that like, share with your horror crew, hit that notification bell, and subscribe to Bootube Breakdowns for more killer verdicts. Keep it creepy, and I'll haunt you in the next review.